Yo, it's Trent. Hope everyone's having a good day, good week so far. Happy Tuesday. It's currently negative 11 degrees outside, so even if I tried to warm up my car and do the video out there, it would take forever, dude, and then I'd be cold right away. So we're in the room. I know the camera angle it's like slanted upwards. It's the best I can do. It's the only way I can set up my phone. I'm trying to think. I have a little desk area, but this is the best it's gonna get. And if you could see the setup, you'd laugh. It's like it's sitting on a cup balanced against a water bottle. It's beautiful, dude. I need a damn camera, but all right, let's get into it. So this is the cops chased us through an abandoned factory story time. So this is when me and my friends also, I need to be a little quiet because there's a baby in that room, so you know how it goes. My bad if I'm quiet, just turn it up. So anyways, this is the times, right? Me and my friends, we'd be going to a lot of abandoned places. Now the age, from ages 13 to 15, a little bit before 16, I'd say, was like the prime age for that. We'd go everywhere to go to abandoned places, right? Not like we couldn't drive yet, so they'd all be kind of in the area, but we'd ride our bike far. We'd ride our bike like 40 minutes to an hour in one direction just to be able to go to like an abandoned barn or abandoned house. Well, on this day, I remember clear as day, me and three other friends were hanging, or two other friends, right? There was three of us, and we're just hanging out, sitting at a couch at like someone's house. I don't remember, it wasn't important, but we were doing absolutely nothing, right? Like it was really boring, and we're just sitting around, and someone goes, hey, there's an abandoned factory, but it's like 30 minutes driving in some direction, right? I don't know, southeast, whatever, in some direction, 30 minutes, there's an abandoned factory. I was down to go, but like I said, none of us could drive at the time, right? Well, one of our friends had an older sister, and she wasn't really, I wouldn't say a fan of us. She was fine with like the friend group, but she wasn't a fan of her brother. Like they didn't get along very well, right? But he must have convinced her somehow. I don't remember if he was like, I'll give you a vape or I'll give you money or whatever the case was, but he must have said something, right? Because she was willing to go with and like come in, stay in, right? Like obviously she's not going to just drive us and leave us there 30 minutes away in an abandoned factory, but I mean, she was actually going to come in with us, right? Which is cool, but also kind of scary, right? Because we'd never done anything like that. Like we've gone to abandoned houses and like abandoned stores and like places that we could get out of really quickly, and there was no danger of getting anyone else in trouble but us, right? But when this dude's older sister is coming, I think she was still a minor, like I think she was still like 16 or 17, but if she wasn't, if she was like 18 and then there's a trespassing charge and she gets in trouble for like putting our lives in danger because if she was over 18, you know? So she took a risk, and we knew we couldn't get in trouble or get caught, right? Like she was telling us, no getting caught, but I'll come in with you guys. Like, I think once we told her what was going on, or once she heard about the abandoned factory, I think she had a little interest in going. So we start driving. It's like a 30-minute drive, and we had stopped on the way there at I don't know if we stopped at a Marathon, a Mobile, BP. We stopped at some gas station, right? And I got a blue Voltage. You know, the Mountain Dew Voltage is 77 grams of sugar or some shit, right? I chugged that thing on the way there. Got me nice and, powered up. So I chugged that thing, feeling good. We get there, and I just remember it having, what do you call it? Like a omnious, is that how you say it? Like a dark vibe, like a kind of creepy vibe to it, right? But there were no extra cars, and the way you had to get there was one road that you turned off on, right? And it was like an entrance or like a really big driveway, but it was like its own private road that led to the factory, right? Like you took this little road, and there were other buildings that were, I wouldn't say abandoned, just really old to the right and left, and then all the way down the path or all the way down the road was this big factory. And there were a couple parking spots, but not really. Like they were disintegrated, you know what I mean? It was like a super old building, super old parking lot, and it had the no trespassing sign, so obviously we knew we weren't supposed to go in there. But but there were no other cars. It looked like there was no chance of cops because you couldn't even see the factory from the road. Like, the cops would actively have to go and check to find us, right? So that's why, I thought we were completely good. So did everybody else. So we get there. We weren't being like loud or reckless or anything. We just didn't see any cops around. So we walk up, and the first door we tried was like, I don't know if it was locked or jammed, but it wasn't opening, okay? So two of us were looking for a window or something to go in, and then two other people, the sister and brother, are looking for a door. So we walk around for like 5 minutes, and sure enough, dude finds a window that had been broken, right? And wasn't boarded up, but it wasn't too hard to get into. It wasn't too high, it wasn't too low. It was like knee level, right? So you didn't even have to lay down to get in. You just had to, kind of get short, and then you could make it through the window. So we go in, and instantly when you walk in, it's creepy as fuck. It just feels like there's ghosts in there. And I like barely believe in that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Just because of, like, I've heard stories, and, stories are stories until something happens to you. At my grandpa's house, right, there's this ghost that we talk about that all gave me and my friends feelings growing up, like feelings, like before we'd fall asleep, our eyes would start watering, like creepy shit, you know what I mean? Like the floorboards one night we all had this feeling that we were being watched, and then a painting falls off the wall, and in another part of the house, the floorboards had jumped up, like exploded through the floor. So that's the only way I believe in ghosts. Not like this building, but when we walked in there, I felt that presence, that like creepiness, you know what I mean? And I'm not a huge fan of that, but I'm not gonna act like a pussy, especially when this dude's older sister is around. I'm not going to act scared. So we continue on, we continue walking, and there were noises the whole time we were in there. So I don't know when the cops arrived, right? But if we would have been able to hear them, like, no, we wouldn't have, because there were pipes and, like, there were things making noises in that building, right? And obviously none of them were living besides us and the cops that ended up coming, but there were noises, right, that were not us making them, but I'm sure they were just building noises, like water dripping or a pipe or something, like it had to be something. I know it sounds weird, but you know what I'm talking about. If you've gone in abandoned places, it might have been little animals running around, right? Because you hear like random noises, like big metal booms and like little cracks and stuff. You just hear things when you're in abandoned places. So we walked around for maybe 10 minutes alone without being disrupted, right? And then you hear a big old like creak noise, right? And it sounds like someone's pushing open a really strong door. Now, normally that wouldn't be a problem. Normally I would be like, oh, that's someone in our group. But the problem with that is all four of us were standing in like a half line. You know what I mean? Like we were all aligned, standing next to each other. So we knew that whatever that noise was wasn't us, and it wasn't one of those building noises. You know what I mean? Like that was not a brick. That was not a pipe. That was somebody pushing open a giant door. So we get quiet, right? We weren't like sneaking around. We didn't get all low to the ground like Hitman and stuff, trying to remain undetected. That wasn't us. We were just trying to be quiet, like don't step loud, just let's see what's going on, right? But we weren't going to leave yet because we'd gotten there maybe 20 minutes ago. It was a 30-minute drive. We were at least going to stay for longer than we drove there, right? Just to make it worth it. Well, we start walking around, and we didn't even see the cops in the building. That's not how we knew they were there. You would think we would have crossed paths at some point because the building was big, dude. The way it was kind of set up is where we came in was like I don't know if you call it a boiler room or a back room or what you'd call it, right? But it had like these big pump things, and there was really nothing going on there. It was super gutted and like gross, and there was black and brown shit and moss, a lot of moss on the floors and shit. It looked like The Last of Us. You know that game? I mean, you should know that game. It's a show, too, with Ellie. You know what I'm talking about? The Last of Us. That's what the building looked like. It looked like one of those buildings with, like, not, like, super overgrown, but just a little bit with, like, the moss and the mold and shit. I don't know what you'd call it. Not mold, but you get what I'm saying. Just random gross shit, right? You would think while we're sneaking around, avoiding that stuff, we would see the cops in there. But no, we're sneaking around to the left side, right? Or sorry, I was talking about the layout. Let me finish talking about the layout before I move on, right? So then there's, you can go around this, I wouldn't call it a corridor. What even is a corridor? But it's like this turn around the corner. You turn around the corner and there's these big doors and you walk in, and it has an upstairs part and a downstairs part. I'm guessing when it was a running factory or whatever, the workers would be, down on the level we were on, and then that like walkway up above is like where the managers would be, I would assume, or the supervisors or something. That's the only thing that makes sense, okay? But there wasn't like a bunch of cool shit in there. It was just gutted and gross, and like there were materials, like there was like metal and like random shit laying around, but it was nothing important. Like there were no cool old I don't even know what to call them, like workstations. It was just random shit thrown everywhere, right? But it was a big open spacious building. So as we're walking around the right, I'm sure the cops were like following us to the left, right? Because we should have seen them in the amount of time that we walked around. But eventually, let me get to the part that I was just saying a minute ago. We get to the left side of the building where there's these like stained glass windows, and they're the kind of windows that like even if you had a baseball bat, you couldn't break them, or maybe you could shatter them, but you couldn't. There's no way you could knock them out to get outside. You know what I mean? Like it's those really thick, like stained windows. Through the windows, you can see cars in the parking lot, right? Like besides ours. And we're like, what the hell? But when you look through those, it's like trying to look through a glass, like try to look through a random glass. It's super blurry and not good to look through. So we're trying to look through it, and all you see is white cars and stripes on the side, but you can't tell like exactly what it is. It could have been a damn taxi. It could have been, obviously, it couldn't have been a school bus, but it could have been like a Jimmy John's car or a Little Caesars like on the side. You know what I mean? Like it could have been one like a decal, but you could tell if it's red and blue and we're at an abandoned place, it's probably the cops. Now, I wasn't tripping about it, and neither were my friends, but the sister was tripping about it because she was the one that was like, we cannot get caught. I cannot get caught. No cops, right? So when she says that, we're like, okay, let's leave then. Let's find an escape. Well, you would think, like we were trying to do in the moment, we're trying to be sneaky, like Hitman, Obviously, or not like Hitman, we weren't like crouching on the floor, but we were trying to be really quiet, and now we weren't like hunched over all the way, but we were definitely like walking on the tippy toes, trying to be really quiet, right? Well, here's where shit went from like kind of fun and games sneaking around to scary, we need to run immediately. So we had walked through, like I already said, we walked through that like turn door, that door that like you couldn't see around the corner. You just had to commit to going through the doorway and hope no one was there. Well, we were coming back through that door the other way, and I was like, let me think, the lead person was the brother, and then behind him was the sister, and then me, and then our other friend was behind me. So I was third in line, okay? Going around the door, something in my heart told me, like, just be prepared when you go around this door, dude. We go around the door, and before I could even see what was on the other side, like, before I could see what was in the hallway, not even the brother, but the sister, the oldest one, right? She turns around immediately and says, fuck that, and just starts sprinting past me. I didn't even take a second to look because I trusted her, right? I just dipped too. Now, listen, I knew where we had come in, and it wasn't like such a big building we got lost, but it was hectic. When you like feel that pressure of you're getting chased, even if you know where the exit is, you kind of like overstimulate, you overrun, you know what I mean? Like we were running so fast the opposite direction trying to get away, and you could hear there was no like, hey, stop, like you guys stop, which is usually what cops yell. Usually they yell something like hey, it's the police, or like, is there anybody in here? They always usually yell. There was no yell. There was just loud footsteps behind us, like manly footsteps. And we had to run down these kind of like half stair things. I almost ate full shit You know when you are running and your heel clicks your toe? Like you toe click or your heel click yourself and you almost eat shit? That's what I did going down these like half stairs. I click it, I almost fall, and then you get to like a 3-part doorway where you can go straight, you can turn right, you can go left, right? I had no direction, I had no idea which direction to go. So I got like the happy feet. You know, in football, when you have to do like the running drills and then you have to fall on your stomach, or like if they move the ball this way, you run this way. They move the ball this way, you run that way. They move it backwards, you have to backpedal. Like that was me with the happy feet. I have the happy feet. I'm trying to figure out where to go. And the sister who was in front of me, she was fast, so she had gotten away from me, and I had turned the corner to where I thought we were going to leave, right where the window was, not the door, but where the window was. And I see the sister, right? And she turns right, which was the way we weren't supposed to go. We were supposed to go left to the window. So I was panicking, right? I'm trying to yell to her like, hey, we need to go this way, right? But I'm also not trying to yell because the cops are chasing us. So if they hear, hey, go left, like, they're going to know which way to go, right? So she goes right, and in my mind, I'm like, I know this is the wrong way. This is the wrong way. Well, remember when we heard that really slow door opening? Like we heard that big creaky door or whatever. Well, that was them opening the front door, dude, and she knew that. So she had turned right, and there was a crack in the door, right, from where they opened it. She slips through, I slip through, and the 2 friends behind me, the brother and the other friend, slip through. We run straight to the car, okay? Now, this was the scariest little 10 seconds, not of my life, right, but at least like a top 5, okay? We run out to the car. I open the door. I get in. I shut the door. No seatbelt, right? Like before I could even put my seatbelt on, 3 cops, like big cops, full vest, you know, they have the whole thing. Not that they wouldn't, you know, cops are always fully prepared, but 3 full grown men cops come sprinting out of the little skinny door that they opened, like the way that we got out. They slip through, dude, and I hadn't even put on my seatbelt on, and the girl just takes off. The older sister just starts driving, dude, and it was like a movie. I looked out because I was sitting in the back right seat, like behind the passenger seat. I look out the window and watch us drive by, like the 3 cops that came out of the door, dude, and they had ran to their car and got in their car. So I'm like fully shitting myself thinking we're about to get in a police chase, but we had turned left, and I kept watching the mirror and I kept looking behind me, but no cop car ever came behind us, and no cop car ever came with the lights on behind us. So we were completely fine. And we drove back home like 30 minutes, dude, and the sister yelled at us, dude. She was like, I can't remember what she said. It was something that we texted about for like a year and a half in the group chat afterwards because it was almost a meme. She said some shit that was really funny. She was like, I wanted to go, but you guys make everything hectic as fuck. Like, it wasn't that. She said something, though. She gave us some speech about how it was really dumb what we were doing and how, she was interested in going, but she would never do something like that again because it was stupid and we almost got caught by the cops, right? So I'm guessing she was probably an adult rather than a minor because she really cared about not getting caught. Or though maybe she just cared about her life, you get what I'm saying? Like maybe she had to go to college and she just wanted to make sure that hey, I don't want to get in trouble for endangering minors and then try to get into a nice college and they see that on my record. You don't want that. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Sub, share, like, comment, become a member if you want. Appreciate all of it. If you're going through something, I answer all positive comments. And if you need someone to talk to for real, my Instagram's linked in the bio. Just go there, DM me. I'll get back to you within a day or two. Thanks for watching. Be safe. Peace out.